still remember the first day Robert mentioned Hopkins to me, back in early 2017. He said, "I hired a new driver from some remote village in Ohio, quiet fellow, name's Hopkins." At that time, it sounded ordinary, just another employee. But nothing about what followed was ordinary. Hopkins was different from the start. Not flashy, not overly respectful, just calm, almost too calm. If Robert had an early meeting, the car was ready before the reminder alarm even rang. If traffic was expected, somehow Hopkins chose a route that stayed clear. It wasn't just efficiency, it was anticipation. Things got done before they were even spoken aloud. At first, Robert laughed about it. He used to say, "Maybe the guy has a twin working behind the scenes." We all chuckled. But I noticed something strange. Sometimes Hopkins would sit quietly, as if listening to someone standing beside him, even when no one was there. He'd nod slightly, whisper under his breath, and everything around Robert would start aligning perfectly. In late 2017 came the first incident that truly shook me. Robert was about to invest heavily in a failing manufacturing company. A risky move, advisors warned him. The night before signing, Hopkins softly said, "Sir, wait 2 days." No explanation, just that. Robert hesitated and, surprisingly, postponed it. The very next day, news broke that the company's main supplier was under federal fraud investigation. Stocks crashed. Robert pulled out. A week later, he bought the same company at half price and turned it into a gold mine within months. That alone made him nearly $40 million in profit. Then came 2018. Robert was stuck in a brutal zoning dispute for a commercial plaza, millions frozen. One evening, Hopkins simply said, "Go to the city office tomorrow at 9:15. Ask for Keller." Robert had never heard of this person. Still, he went. Turns out, an interim zoning officer named Keller had been appointed overnight after an unexpected resignation. Within days, the objections disappeared. Project cleared. That plaza later generated more than $20 million in net profit. Coincidence? Maybe, but it felt guided. The third incident was bigger. Late 2019, Robert was ready to sign a $110 million international distribution deal. Lawyers were done, champagne almost open. 2 nights before signing, Hopkins looked at him and quietly said, "Do not sign on Tuesday." No reason, just that calm voice. Robert, slightly irritated but curious, delayed it 48 hours. On Tuesday morning, the foreign company's CEO was arrested overseas in a corruption scandal. If Robert had signed, he'd have been dragged into legal chaos. Instead, he later secured a different contract that pushed his wealth past $1 billion. That was the moment he officially became untouchable. And here's the strange part. Whenever Robert rewarded Hopkins with bonuses, gifts, even land, some unbelievable profit followed. It was as if gratitude activated something unseen. But Robert never asked how. He enjoyed the rise. Then, Hopkins took 15 days leave to visit his village. Just 15 days. During that time, things felt slower. Meetings got postponed, minor financial hiccups appeared. Nothing huge, but the smoothness was gone. Like the wind behind a sail that suddenly stopped. When Hopkins returned, Robert had just come back from a high-profile party. He was drunk, loud, arrogant, investors cheering, music still echoing in his head. Hopkins greeted him at the driveway with the same calm respect. And then, Robert humiliated him, mocked his village roots, called him superstitious, and in front of staff, he slapped him. Hard. Hopkins didn't react. No anger, no protest, just that same stillness. But the air around us felt heavy, like pressure before a storm. Within weeks, everything began to fall apart. The massive $110 million deal that was supposed to finalize collapsed suddenly. Investors withdrew, citing internal restructuring. No clear reason. Then the $56 million MOU in Chicago. On the way to signing, Robert's car engine failed on an empty highway. Brand new car, no mechanical fault found later. By the time he arrived, the partners had signed with a competitor. Then the downtown parking plaza, his steady cash machine, was grounded over structural compliance concerns. Engineers later found nothing serious, yet permits remained frozen. Revenue dried up. And that was only the beginning. A government tax audit notice arrived unexpectedly. Accounts temporarily frozen. Investors panicked. Then a data breach exposed confidential negotiation documents, damaging his reputation overnight. No source traced. Around the same time, one of his warehouses caught fire under mysterious electrical circumstances. Insurance payments delayed for months. It felt targeted. And personally, things shattered too. His wife filed a divorce, demanding $2.8 million in asset division. She claimed emotional instability, aggression, distance. Robert stopped sleeping. He started drinking heavily. He'd stare at walls as if listening for something. In 2022, a $17 million emergency financing arrangement collapsed hours before signing when the bank suddenly revised its risk rating. The senior advisor resigned and joined a rival firm, taking key clients. Even his private jet experienced a minor runway malfunction that made headlines explode with rumors about his fall. Brick by brick, the empire crumbled. I visited him early 2023. His hair had grayed dramatically, eyes hollow, hands trembling slightly. He whispered to me, "Luck doesn't leave by accident." I asked him what he meant. He looked toward the driveway where Hopkins was standing silently by the car and said, "I offended something I didn't understand." Hopkins still worked there, calm, efficient, unchanged. But Robert, was no longer the billionaire who believed he controlled everything. He was a man hunted by consequences he couldn't explain. And that was just the beginning. What he did next to survive, that's a different chapter altogether.